Hello and welcome to the HCW show. I'm your host DP, and we are going through another wrestler interview as part of our UK Indy Spotlight. Uh, I'm DP, as I said already, but I am joined by a special guest, the youngest in charge, the 0.0000001%.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Leon Slater.
Yo, yo. Let's go,
How
man.
how are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. It's a nice little Wednesday afternoon. You know,
Yes, sir.
things are getting done, things are being said.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But yeah, so this is our UK in the Spotlight, where we want to shine a light on, be it breakthrough indie stars or people who are on the up and up, or people who are the veterans of the business as well. So naturally, you fall naturally into that category of the up and up people, the up and comers, the breakthrough rising stars of the
hmm
British scene. We work things through typically chronologically.
Okay.
So just sort of take us through the first like sort of wrestling memory that you have. So what
Yeah.
do you recall made you want to go into wrestling, or what made you enjoy wrestling?
So, from what I remember, I can't remember a time where I haven't enjoyed wrestling or been interested in wrestling. Like, for as long as I can remember, it's been a thing in my life. And I think it started. So, we used to live in a much worse area than we live now. And we used to live next to my cousin, and I'd always go over to his house, and he'd always come over to my house. And he's older than me, so he had like a PlayStation and stuff. And I think it was SmackDown versus Raw 2007 that I originally played on like PS2 or something. And that's kind of when I first got the itch for it, I suppose. And then obviously, like a lot of people do, my cousin grew up and kind of grew out of wrestling. So when he grew out of wrestling, I got all his hand me downs. So I got all his games, I got all his figures, I got all his like little replica belts and stuff like that. So I think that was my first introduction to wrestling, and then from there, I just kind of fell in love with it, and it's been what my life has been guided towards ever since that. Like everything I've done throughout school, throughout everything has been trying to be a professional wrestler.
All right, nice. So, just out of curiosity, for my sake, who was your favourite to play as on the PS2?
Damn, that's a tough question. I mean, I didn't. To be honest, I didn't really have a favorite because I get whooped no matter who I played as because my cousin obviously was a lot older. But from what I remember, I used to play as William Regal a lot. I used to play as William Regal quite a bit because I don't know why. Like I used to call him Pips. That was like my nickname for him. William Regal was Pips to me. So for some reason, I used to play as William Regal a lot. I mean, I don't wrestle anything like him now, but I'd say probably William Regal was my favorite on the PS2 for sure.
That's fair enough. Yeah, it'd be quite interesting seeing William Regal pull out some of the stuff that you're doing. But yeah, that's cool. So with that in mind, you mentioned going through school as well, and you're quite young as it is.
Yes, sir.
So how was it balancing, going to educational school as well as assuming your wrestling schools or your
Yeah.
first companies or your first promotions, so be it.
Well, to be honest, I suppose it worked out quite well. So while I was in school, wrestling wasn't really taking off for me, I suppose, but just because I was quite young, and I've always been like good for my age. Because I started training when I was 10. It was a week before my 10th birthday, so technically I was 9, but I was nearly 10 when I started training. So obviously I was in school at that time, and I stuck at the my original training school from the age of 10, obviously, all the way through to after COVID. And the school I was at before, I didn't really have any like outside links, so the only shows I'd be doing is like the I suppose the training shows, and then they'd bring a crowd in like maybe once a month. So I was doing that for like it's got to be like 6 7 years. So wrestling didn't really take off massively whilst I was in school. It was after I left school really. So I left and got an apprenticeship just as something to do. Because I left school last May, so even then wrestling wasn't even close to taking off. So I had the apprenticeship, from about June time to December, and in December I decided I've had enough. I was just so drained, like I couldn't do it because all I wanted to do was wrestle. And then once I left that, even wrestling didn't take off for a while then, but I was so tunnel visioned because I couldn't find another job. I'd apply and apply and apply, and nobody'd even write back to me. So I was so tunnel visioned on making wrestling a success. Then when I got the opportunities to make it a success, I took advantage of the opportunities, and here we are now.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Honestly, like it's so good to see someone who's so laser focused on one career that they wanted to go into and to sort of get accepted and to sort of skyrocket or sort of like go into that industry and sort of
Yeah, sure.
go headstrong as you have.
For sure.
So I did a bit of basic research, go through your social medias, and the whatnot. Am I right in thinking that your first promotion slash company was UKW?
Yes, that's the original training school I was just talking about. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I trained at UKW for about 6, 7 years. And like I say, like they bring a crowd in like once a month and there'd be like training shows. And I enjoyed being at UKW because as a kid, I could just go down there and wrestle. But, and this isn't shitting on them. I give UKW a lot of credit for where I am now because they started me out and they gave me like the platform to be on shows in front of a crowd every month that not a lot of 10 to 16-year-olds get to do. But I felt like there was only a certain level that I could get to training at UKW, and I feel like I reached that level, and I was kind of stagnant for a while, and that's why I've moved on to pursue pro wrestling now as my main training school.
All right, fair enough. So that they are your current, are they? Your
Yes.
ongoing sort of training school.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's never too late and never too. There's no end point to what you can learn. So
Of
absolutely,
course. Of
yeah,
course. Nobody knows everything, so there's endless knowledge in the world of wrestling for sure.
yeah, absolutely. So is Pursuit also a company that does these shows? Like, do they do like training shows or like recruit shows or?
So we have the training shows that go up on YouTube, but that's like it's just like an in-house thing. So the people that are on the show sit and watch while they're not wrestling, and like friends and family can come down. And it's just it's mainly the in-house shows are just used for people that are already on the shows to get like good footage so they can send to people of them wrestling and stuff like that. So we're not running full shows yet, but the way things are going, I think maybe in the next year or two, maybe we will run like a proper show, but who knows?
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, hopefully you do go to. Well, they do get to go ahead and put on more shows and be more successful as well. Absolutely, because if they're producing stars like you as well, then there's clearly something going on there.
Yeah, man.
There's something in the mixture over there.
Yeah, man. And there's it's not just me either. We have like a deep roster. We have a deep roster. So there's me. There's Liam Slater, who I think is one of the best in the country and one of the most underrated people in the country, to be honest. We have Ellis Barker, we have Jet Marshall, Joe Wade, Natalie Sykes, Eve Bateman, Jim McGuire. There's a whole roster of us that could take over the country. It literally is just a matter of time until we start getting on shows and people see how deep the roster really is.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, obviously with you breaking out as well into like the companies as well across the UK, it's because it's only a matter of time before others, sort of start following in your footsteps, in a way.
Yes, sir.
It won't be long before we see other those names that you mentioned appearing as well, I imagine.
Absolutely.
But to go back into the more personal side of things, so the more into the actual you side of things. So you found out about what you did like for games, but is there anything to do with like what's the word I'm thinking of? Like TV shows? Did you watch like the weekly wrestling when it was on TV, or is that where you got the inspiration from, or was that just from the games?
So we didn't have Sky Sports growing up, so I wasn't able to watch like Raw and SmackDown on TV and stuff. So I had mostly watched wrestling on YouTube. So my dad wasn't around growing up; it's just been me, my mum, and my sister. So when my mum was at work, I'd go with her and stuff, and I'd just sit in the office and I'd go on YouTube and I'd just dive down the wrestling rabbit hole. I'd start off on WWE and then I'd find some TNA. Then I'd be obsessed with TNA for ages, like AJ Styles, Abyss, Christopher Daniels. Then I'd find some like Ring of Honor. Then I'd find PWG, and it's just a big rabbit hole. And that's when the obsession really started, like when I was watching YouTube and stuff, because I really just sat there for like a whole working shift while my mum was working. I was just sat in the office, just watching and well, not even studying at that point. I didn't even know what I was watching, but I was just watching wrestling all day, like 3, 4 times a week.
Wow, wow, wow. That's like quite a fair bit. But yeah, you mentioned your mum.
Yes.
Was that something that you had a lot of support from your family,
Yeah.
or was that
Yeah.
something that I know some wrestlers have that sort of thing when a family don't really support that endeavor?
Yeah, my mum's been literally the best in the world. Everyone says their mum is the best in it, but my mum is the best mum in the world because she has supported me more than I can even like describe to you. She's given me lifts back home from shows at like 4 o'clock in the morning. She's taken me training every week for like 6, 7 years. The amount of miles on her car from me going to shows and training is ridiculous. Let me tell you that. And like before I had my own money, she'd pay for gear, she'd pay for training, she'd pay for new boots, new pads, new ties, everything, man. Like did I cannot quit wrestling now. If it comes to it, I cannot quit wrestling because I have to pay her back. I have to pay her back, and I will pay her back. She will be in a mansion one day, and we can come back to this interview and me saying this, and because I will speak it into existence, and she will be in a mansion one day. But no, literally, nothing can repay her. Not even a mansion can repay for how much she supported me. She's literally been the best a parent could be, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. Honestly, it's nice to hear that family support as well. Because as I
Yeah, not
mentioned,
just my mum too, right? It's not just my mum, like my girlfriend, my sister, my nan, my granddad. Like everybody's behind me, like pushing me to the top. It's like I'm presenting as like a solo act, but really behind me, it's a whole team of people like supporting me and pushing me to the top and stuff like that.
that's really good to hear. Yeah, that's really great. So to go back into the wrestling side of things again. So we'll try to keep it like between going back and forth.
Yeah, of course.
To try to keep it a bit more fresher and a bit more, you know. But how long were you training before you had your first match?
So I reckon I was training about. It can't have been longer than 18 months. I'd say it's probably about a year, maybe a year and a half at the max before I was on like one of them first training shows. Um, and then obviously like my first like pro show, I guess you'd call it, like outside of UKW, was only like October last year. So I suppose to get onto like, oh no, that's a lie. That is a lie actually. I wrestled for Breed when I was about 14. So I was probably had about 4 or 5 years of training before I got on like a real outside booking.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, that's good. So I went through, as I said earlier, like a brief sort of what's the word? Go through your social media, and that
Yeah.
included your YouTube.
Yes, sir.
So the earliest thing I could find for your wrestling history or like wrestling sort of matches was a match that was uploaded 5 years ago against JJ Barker.
Yeah, that was one of my that was one of the first times I realized like, man, I'm kind of good at this for a little 12-year-old. I'm kind of wicked at this. But yeah, JJ Barker, man, he played a big part in my development in UKW, especially like that match with him. It really meant a lot to me at the time because he was like one of the people that was out there like getting on shows, and as like a trainee at the time, it was a real special like match for me.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, so that goes more into this I was going to ask as well. Anyway, so what was the training school's like training program? So like, who was the trainers? Like, who was in charge of it? So that's that kind of thing.
So the people that I was under while I was there was I started out under Danny Steele, and I was under Danny for about maybe 2 years, I think. He doesn't wrestle anymore. He's a big bodybuilder now. He looks wicked now. But yeah, Danny was cool, man. So that's where I learned like my basics, and then I think Alec Michaels took over there, and that's where I learned like the kind of more athletic style. He's really into like lucha and stuff like that. So that's where I kind of got that style from. And then from there, it transitioned to Encirco, one half of the Lion Kings. He was training for a bit, and that's where I really like really started to fine tune stuff. And that's when Liam came along. So Liam was kind of like a co-trainer, I suppose. Like he would help Encirco out on the sessions while he was training, and that's how I kind of got to know Liam. And then obviously from that, when he started Pursuit up, I went and jumped ship over there.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. So, what would have been your, if you recall anyway, your first title victory?
Oh, okay. So my first title victory was me and A2J, now known as Jet Marshall. Me and him, we won the UKW Tag Team Championships in about 2017, I think. So that was my first taste of gold, I suppose.
Fair enough. So you would have been what, about 15?
Yeah, about 14, 15, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, that's insane.
it is.
'Cause I'm saying that now as a 25-year-old. Like that's just insane to me. So to go on to something a bit more. Actually, no, sorry, no. So you mentioned about how the different trainers had different styles in your training school. Was there anyone in particular that focused on promo skills or promo cutting, or was that just part of the altogether product?
So, during my time in UKW, there wasn't massively like a focus on promos. Although I have to give him his credit where it's due. Mustafa Khan, he did pull people to a side, like once in a while and kind of work on some promo stuff. But I was never massively under him. I wouldn't really class him. I wouldn't really class him as one of my trainers. But at Pursuit, like there's a pretty large focus on like character stuff and promo stuff. And like people enjoy it because it's not just get in the ring and cut a promo. Like we kind of do it in a fun way where it's a lot more relaxed than like, because it can be quite nerve wracking just going up into the ring and cutting this promo like, oh, on December 17th I'm gonna meet you in this venue and I'm gonna smash you up, rah rah rah. Like it can be more fun than that, and it is more fun than that at Pursuit. So it's a lot more relaxed. So that's where the focus on promos really started for me. Obviously there was some focus on UKW, but it was under more of a spotlight at Pursuit for sure.
Fair enough. And I'm sure you saw this question coming along like a mile away. But at the start, obviously, you mentioned I introduced you as the 0.0000001%. Did that come from a promo sort of thing, or did that come from someone calling you that, or?
So it actually started from me cutting a promo in training about a year or so ago, maybe a year and a half. And I was cutting this real generic promo. I was like, I'm the biggest, I'm the strongest, I'm the fastest, rah, 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 rah. And then I came out with the line like, you've got no chance of beating me, and if you can beat me, you're in the 0.000000001%. And people, it got over, like people started laughing and stuff, and I was like, maybe I've got something here. So then the next week, I switched it around. So instead of the people that can beat me being a 0.0001%, I am now the 0.001%. And then from there, I just kind of fleshed it out, and it's still not where I want it to be for sure. There's still loads more I can dive in and like kind of like flesh it out, like I said. But to me, it kind of means like be just being you. You know what I mean? Like being unique, not being a copy, being rare. And I feel like that's what I am in British wrestling at the moment. I feel like I am quite a unique character. And I am quite rare. Like you wouldn't find another like carbon copy of me, I don't feel. So yeah, that's how it originated. But there is definitely more to dive into with the 0.01 stuff for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So a bit more of a somber note. The next question is, the pandemic of 2020. How did that affect your training, your overall wrestling, not ability, but your ability to be able to wrestle against others and
So
training and whatnot? Yeah.
So to be honest, I kind of forgot about wrestling during COVID. Because for me, like if I can't do something, then I don't want to be around it. If you know what I mean. Like if I love something, I have to be able to do it. I have to be able to like go training and be on shows and stuff like that. So not being able to do that, I feel like if I was watching wrestling, it just would have made me real sad. So I found that's when I got interested in basketball. To be honest, I watched the Last Dance documentary on Michael Jordan, and that really got me into basketball. So my time during like the quarantines and stuff, it wasn't even really spent thinking about wrestling. To be honest, I was more focused on basketball just because it was something I could do. I could go down to my local park and just shoot the ball up for a couple of hours and just forget about what was going on. So to be honest, I wasn't massively focused on wrestling during COVID.
Fair enough. 2020, you would have been in school or college.
Yeah.
So did that
Yeah.
affect your classes?
Yeah, so COVID really messed up my schooling. So I was in year 10 when the original lockdown happened. I missed out on, let me think. Um, I missed out on the last half of my year 10. Went back in September. So we did September to Christmas in year 11. And then on the Christmas break, I remember the email. I was playing Call of Duty with my friends. I remember exactly how it happened. And my mum came in. She's like, "Oh, you're not going back. You're not going back." I'm like, "What? Again?" And that's when the other lockdown hit. And then we went back in March to May, and then I finished up in May.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's probably a not seminar, but I imagine a lot of others who didn't necessarily have that backup of school because they'd already
Yeah,
gone through school because they're older. But
yeah, of course.
yeah, it's good to see that you at least had that backup of that you had the basketball as well to remind yourself of other avenues that you
Yeah, for
could go
sure, for
down as
sure.
well. But to get back into your catalogue, I guess, of people you faced in the ring. I've got a small list here based off the very limited databases that are online on you. There's I've got your social media stuff from YouTube and your Twitters and your Twitter and Instagram and all that, but the actual databases of the wrestling, the online databases, they don't have much on you except for when you joined Progress.
Yeah, it's real slim, right? Like I don't have a cage match. I don't think there's like nothing on me. I'm pretty invisible, like outside of social media.
Yeah, so literally all I found is on what's on Profight DB. So obviously, your first match according to this was RKJ at Progress chapter 134. Obviously, you know it's not the case, but
Yeah,
that to the majority of the wrestling world who don't know you, that'll be your first sort of exposure, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
So how was it fighting someone who had a very similar, I imagine, sort of like a history in wrestling, in regards to being from such a young age?
So like I actually wrestled Ricky like maybe 5 years before. So like he was like the age I am now, and I was like 12, and I wrestled him in like a four-way for UKW on one of their bigger shows. So it was like a real cool full circle moment for me to like wrestle him as like him debuting and my kind of like ballroom debut. Because obviously I did the everything patterned like four-way before that. But it was like my kind of main show debut, I guess. So it's a real cool full circle moment for me, like I said. And like you said, he's been in it from a young age as well. So, and he's on top of the game right now. I mean, he's Rev Pro champion. So to have my name in the ring at the same time as him, it was an honor. It was something I was really looking forward to, like debuting in the ballroom against RKJ, who's like a big name on the scene at the moment. It was a real special moment for me for sure.
That's nice. Yeah, and then obviously that wasn't the only time that you shared a ring with him. Like after that, I mean, because you teamed up with him at Chapter 136 to take on
Yeah,
Sunshine Machine for the tag titles.
tag titles, yes.
So
Uh,
how was it sort of being on the same side as RKJ this time round?
It was a lot better than being on the opposite side, I'll tell you that much. It was a lot nicer watching him chop someone else than taking them chops. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, man, like after that first match, I think we just kind of found like a mutual respect. And when Sunshine Machine didn't have like a team for their first defense, we were like, why not? Let's give it a shot.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah. So another thing I've got on here on your list of, again, this is mainly just like 2019 onwards sort of stuff. Is not 2019, sorry, 2021 or 2020, I should say. Is Robbie X,
Yeah.
who you fought at not only Wrestle Carnival but also at Rev Pro.
Yes, sir. I really enjoy working Robbie. I love wrestling Robbie. I think we have very similar styles and like cadences to how we move. So when I'm in there with Rob, it's always a fun time. And the one at Rev Pro we had was in the main too. It was the main event, so I think that definitely topped the one we had at Carnival. But even the Carnival one was a banger. We got a standing ovation at both places. So Robbie's definitely one of my favorite people to wrestle.
Yeah, I was gonna say it makes a lot of sense because you two have got very similar sort of intensities and very similar
Yeah,
like nuances in the way you move and very fast paced, very speedy.
yeah, man. He's the speed star after all. He is the speed star.
Exactly. Yeah. So again, following from that, other matches that you've had, you fought Luke Jacobs as well
Yeah,
at Rev
tough
Pro.
one.
I can imagine that's a very not so forgiving affair on your body.
Yeah, that was my chest was black and blue after that one. That was a tough match for sure. But again, like for my first match to be for the cruiserweight title against a person like Luke was a great opportunity, and I feel like I took advantage of that opportunity as much as I could.
Yeah, and speaking of opportunity, you were granted a chance at fighting international talent when you fought Konosuke Takashita at the
Yeah, man.
Deadly Viper Tour.
Yeah, that was insane. So it was originally meant to be Robbie, and he unfortunately had to pull out because of a concussion. And I just more than anything, I find it more crazy that Progress Management was like, I was the first person they called after Robbie was out, and they have that trust in me to like put on a like a match of the night contender against like a world class wrestler like Takeshita, like literally fresh off an AEW run, fresh off wrestling Moxley and all them lot over there, and then like the next person he wrestles is me. Like it was a very surreal thing for me to wrestle him. But again, it's something I'd love to do again, and I'm sure it will happen again further down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, Following from that as well, you had the next night, which was a six-man tag with
Yeah,
yourself, Derice, and Maloney against Big Damo, Luke Jacobs again, and Hayata
yeah,
from Person Noah. So,
yeah. That
so
was another crazy one. Like that for it to be the first time that me, Dan, and Derice had like teamed as like a trio, or like the first time that I teamed with Dan like at all. Obviously, me and Derice have got our stuff at North Wrestling, but it's the first time I tagged with Dan at all. But I feel like we had real good chemistry because, like they were saying on commentary, like we travel together, we train together, and all stuff like that. Even though I'm not from Birmingham, we have that kind of close, like brotherly bond. Like I feel like they're my big brothers because they pretty much are like my wrestling big brothers, them two. So that's one of my favorite matches to date for sure. I love watching that one back. That's a real fun one.
yeah, absolutely. Uh, we go into further into August, a bit later on, a week later. You were part of the Rev Pro 10th anniversary
Yeah.
shows. Obviously, you weren't on night one for whatever reasons, but you were on night two,
Mhm.
where you fought Speedball Mike
Yeah,
Bailey. So you fought not only the Speed Star, but the Speed Ball.
yeah, man.
So
All the speedy boys.
how was it fighting someone like Mike Bailey?
Again, like another very surreal moment for me. Like Mike Bailey, someone that I've watched like literally growing up. Like I was saying, like watching PWG at my mum's work. He was someone that was on those cards. So to wrestle him in a venue like York Hall and like a super hot crowd like that, it was another very, very, very surreal moment for me. And like it's the first time I've ever cried after a match. I literally after that match, I got a standing ovation in York Hall, people chanting my name. I literally there's a video of it somewhere on social media. I literally just went to my knees, head in my hands, and sobbed in the middle of the ring, just because it's that match is the first time I've ever felt like, holy shit, I'm actually doing like what I've been set out to do, what I've been training to do for 6 7 years now. I'm actually doing it. Um, so yeah, extremely surreal. And another great opportunity that I'm just thankful for and I'm grateful for that Andy and Rev Pro management trust me enough to put me in a spot like that against another world class wrestler like Speedball.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're getting one step closer to that match for your mum as well. So that's always something to look forward to, I suppose.
Exactly.
So we go into fairly recent history now. Literally no more than probably like less than a week ago. We have a match you had part of the, I believe it was TNT and GCW shows, where it was you against Joe Lando, Tony Deppen, and Cole Radrick for the GCW Extreme title.
Yeah, that's another crazy one, man. Like I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot, but it's very true. Like another very surreal moment to be out there and see like the GCW logo on like the screen behind me, and like see Tony Deppen and Cole Radrick and Joe Lando like stood in the ring across from me. It was another very insane moment. But I feel like that one was something I'm a big believer in like manifesting stuff and speaking things into existence, and that GCW is something I've spoken into existence and I have been manifesting for a long time. So whereas with like the other bigger matches, I've been not nervous, but like a bit more. I'm like thinking like how am I gonna do in this? I just hope it goes well. But when GCW came about, I was like, okay, yeah, this is cool. Yeah, I got this. Easy money. I've been manifesting this and I've been speaking this into existence for the better part of this year. So this is the opportunity I've been waiting for. And to be honest, that's my mentality going into wrestling now. I'm trying to always be prepared. So when opportunities do come up, I can show out and I can not just like meet the level of talent that I'm in, but hopefully exceed expectations. And I feel like that's what I did last Friday at GCW.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair enough. And obviously, I'm not sure if this is your your most recent match, because there's nothing online about it. But I've got here as being the one that I've seen of you, as well as the Mike Bailey one that I saw live as well. But you against Blake Christian as part
Yeah, that
of
is my most recent match.
yeah, as part of Progress Chapter 141.
Yeah, like I was saying, that's another real cool moment. Because Blake is someone that I've watched for a while. Like when he was blowing up in maybe like 2019, like early 2020 before COVID, I was like, man, this guy's killing it over in America. Maybe someday it's a match we'll have, and now it's a match we've had. I'm super happy with how it went, even though Blake was a bit ill. But yeah, man, he's a warrior. I couldn't have wrestled. I couldn't have wrestled him with food poisoning. I know that much. So I feel like that's something that's definitely going to happen again down the line. Maybe in the States next time. Maybe back here. But I'm sure we'll find out soon.
Fair, yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, they're due back in the UK, I believe, next year anyway. So
So
who knows? You might get a rematch. You might fight someone else. Who knows?
maybe.
I have spoken to a lot of people like outside of the wrestling circle, like fans and other people in the industry. But people have compared you a lot to another UK star who had a similar rise from like a junior level as well, being Will Ospreay. And I've heard that comparison quite a lot between yourself and William. How does it feel to essentially be held in the same regard to, someone like Will, who's at the status he's at now, but obviously, you're not in Japan. You didn't have what he had with Chaos and with Okada, and so how does it feel being in the same regard into as someone like Ospreay?
To be honest, it's very, very motivating because I see what Will's doing, and people like him and like Zack Sabre Jr. and people like that. I've seen what they've done, and they started off like you said, in a very similar position to me. So it's extremely motivating, to have him as like someone that I'm compared to. It just makes me realize like how close these things are. Like you think New Japan and you think, oh my god, it's miles away. How am I ever going to get there? But if Will can do it, why can't I do it? If Zach can do it, why can't I do it? And like you say, like to be held in like a similar regard to like a young Will Ospreay, it's a very big compliment that I do take pride in. I do take pride in being like the next big star out of the UK, or at least that's how I see it.
Fair enough. So if the opportunity arose, obviously I think Progress have probably got you in mind already for the MPS, or probably this year or next. No, it'll be next year, won't it? But if the opportunity arose and say Japan wanted you for the Best of Super Juniors, would that be
I would
something?
100% do it. Of course, I would do it. That's not even a question, bro. Of course, I would do the Super Juniors. Of course, I would do the Super Juniors. Yeah, man, that's another bucket list thing. And like, before I retire in wrestling, I want to say I've done it all. Like, I completed this shit. You know what I mean? So it's like I want to go do the Super Juniors. I want to win some IWGP gold. I want to win some WWE gold. I want to win some AEW gold. Like my long term goal is wrestling is to be one of, if not the greatest wrestler that's ever lived. So I'm trying to tick all them boxes. I'm trying to tick Best of the Super Juniors. I'm trying to tick AEW, WWE, New Japan. I'm just trying to complete this shit, man. I'm trying to do everything. I want to get in all the Hall of Fames. I want to be the greatest of all time by the time I'm retired, and I feel like I'm on a good track to do that right now. And Best of the Super Juniors would definitely add some accolades to that list for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get you a shot at the junior title as well in New Japan, which is I want to say Ishimori, who's the current holder. So that'd be a very interesting match between you and yourself and him.
Mm-hmm.
But despite all the high octane performances that you're giving and the unseen potential that you do have, uh, do you have a way to, I guess, relax or settle down or prep for matches beforehand or anything like that, like music or like films or like what sort of thing do you do to in your free time to relax?
Yeah, so like I was mentioning earlier, basketball is a big part of that. Like I enjoy just going down to the park and playing basketball with my friends and stuff like that. That's a nice way for me to like kind of um, take a step back from wrestling. And music is another big one of like my passions, I suppose. I'm a real big music fan, especially like hip hop and rap and R&B and stuff like that. So yeah, when I'm not wrestling, it's usually like music or basketball, and I'm a big video games fan as well. Like from starting playing on a PS2, now I've got PS5 and stuff like that. So I'm always on that with my friends. So yeah, video games, basketball, and music keeps me sane from wrestling, I guess we'll say.
That's fair enough. Who would be, if you had to put the pin down to one person or one group, who would be your favourite band, artist, rapper?
Oh, this is a tough question, man. This is a tough question. The first person that comes to mind when I think of favorite is Kendrick Lamar. I've been a fan of his for a while now, and I've seen him once before live, and I'm seeing him live again this year. So maybe Kendrick could be my favorite, but this is an answer that chop and changes all the time. Maybe if we do another one in like a year or so, I'll tell you someone different. But right now, it's Kendrick Lamar for sure.
Yeah, absolutely fair enough. So outside of rap, do you have anything else that you prefer? So like, other than the hip hop R&B sort of stuff, do you prefer, for example, like metal or like pop or stuff like
I'm a
that?
fan of I'm a fan of all music to be honest, man. But like my main like genres outside of like R&B and rap and stuff like that is like I don't even know what the genre is to be honest, bro. But like them like SmackDown versus Raw like soundtracks like 3 Days Grace and stuff like that. I love that shit, man. It's a big nostalgia pop for me. Like Limp Bizkit, I'm a big
Oh
fan of
hell
Limp
yeah!
Bizkit. Yeah, that kind of I think new metal, right? Like new metal kind of sound. I enjoy stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, I'm not too fully clued in myself about the genre names of stuff,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, I think you're right. I think it's something like that. But yeah, it must feel good then to hear the ballroom playing Limp Bizkit at the
Yeah, it's wicked. Real cool.
point. um, so we're coming towards the end of the questions that I have. I suppose want to get to the last question I have actually, really. Um, what would be, if you had to name it, or name them, sorry, your current or all time dream wrestler to face? So it can be alive or passed away. So just who is it that
Right.
you want to face, either nowadays or in their
Huh?
prime, or
Okay, okay. Um, my all-time one would maybe be like between two, to be honest. It's between a prime RVD. I feel like we'd have a banger, me and RVD. RVD or Shelton Benjamin would be like my like in their prime, like my dream match for sure. And then like current people that are active right now, matches that I really want to have would be like Will Ospreay is a big one for me. Swerve Strickland is another big one for me. Um, and Nick Wayne, I mean, I think that's bound to happen at some point. Someone will do it eventually. It's just who's going to be the first to do it. But yeah, me and Nick Wayne would have a classic for sure. So them three are the people I'm looking to wrestle at the moment for sure.
oh yeah, absolutely, that's fantastic. Obviously, I can't book it because I'm not a booker, but um, Ray, our other co-host, had an interview, our first Indie Spotlight interview with Kamikaze Live's I think he's still champion now, George Lydon.
Ah, yes, George is a gangster, man. I love George. George is wicked. Yeah.
George did actually mention you as being
Yeah, man.
someone that he wants to
George have a
face.
real good match. Me and George just have a real good match. I mean, I'm in the 012 and I'm in Birmingham, Coventry area more and more now. So maybe it will happen. I'm guessing it will for sure.
But yeah, he's definitely expressed interest in fighting you at some point.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if there's any titles on the line now or whatnot, but that's definitely something down the line, whether it's exhibition or just titles or whatever.
That's too far down the line, to be honest. I reckon that'll happen in the next few months, maybe next year. But that's definitely a match that's going to happen for sure.
Fair enough. So going into future stuff as well, you've got matches coming up. I don't know anything too immediate, but I know that Carnival have released that you're going to be fighting Darius for the Carnival for the World Championship in Wrestle Carnival.
Yes, sir.
How does it feel to not only get that opportunity, but to be facing, part of your 0121?
Yeah, that's a weird
team?
one. That is a weird one because usually going into like a title match or like a big match, I'm competitive, man. I do not want to lose. But that's my brother in there, That's my brother. So it's going to be a weird one looking at Darius across the ring from me rather than at my side or on the apron ready for a tag or something like that. But I'm sure it'll be a classic, and we'll see who walks away with the belt at the end of the day. I'm not gonna say I'll beat him, but I'm not losing to him. I'll say that much.
You put your all into it, and the result will be what it is.
Exactly.
Are there any other matches that you've got coming up that you want to give a shout out to, or?
Oh, what super fights have I got coming up? What super fights? I'm in Manchester for Progress on October 9th. I cannot disclose the match yet, but just know I will be there. That's probably the closest super fight that I've got, man. So yeah, be there in Manchester, and I'll see you there, bro.
That brings an end to this Indie Spotlight interview. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on,
Thank you
Leon.
for having me, man. Thank you for having me. It's been real fun. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time out of your schedule as well to sit down with me and discuss some stuff.
No worries, man. No worries at all.
Before we go, have you got any social medias that you want to shout out for yourself so people know where to find you?
Yes, sir. So I am official 0.01 on the Instagram. I'm official 0. Not the dot, the underscore on the Twitter. That should be below me, innit? That's right there.
Yeah.
That's right. That's the Twitter. Official 001.bigcartel.com is the merch site. Go and cop the new tee. The Not From Here tees on pre-order right now. Go and get that, and I'll ship it out ASAP when I get the stock. But apart from that, Leon Slater on the YouTube too. Watch me and Takeshita on there. And I'll be uploading more matches soon. So those are my socials. Go check them out, and I'll see you soon.
Absolutely. And for anyone else, there is also the WWE Network, which you'll be on because of Progress as well.
That's the one.
But yeah, that is all we have time for here. But again, Leon, been great speaking to you. And everyone on the YouTube channels and our social medias, I will see you guys in the near future.